What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Lions video. Now, the offensive line has been the biggest emphasis for the Detroit Lions this offseason, and they have been very invested in filling and completing this offensive line to be one of the best, youngest, and most talented rosters most talented lineups for the foreseeable future. And a big part of that was the drafting of Oregon offensive tackle Penei Sewell with the 7th overall pick. Now, Penei Sewell has not really been able to shine like many expected him to early in training camp because, of course, the pads were not on, the physicality was not there, and the blocking assignments and stuff like that were not quite allowed to begin just yet. But with the recent opportunities that he has been given, and with the Detroit Lions finally having some padded practices, Penei Sewell has been able to shine like never before, and we are going to talk about Penei Sewell, the first round pick, today. However, before we get into Penei Sewell, before we start talking about him, if you are new to the channel and you're enjoying the content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes just 2 seconds out of you to do so. It's quick, it is free, and it is incredibly easy to do, and you will be helping the channel out more than you could possibly know. So if you could do that, take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe. I'd be incredibly appreciative for it. With all that being said, without any further ado, let's get right into talking about Penei Sewell, the first round pick and the newest offensive tackle for the Detroit Lions.
So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
Now, like I said, prior to padded practices, Penei Sewell was not really able to truly show everything that he was capable of. Yes, in the individual drills and in drills versus the bag and stuff like that, he was able to show his speed, his quickness, his athleticism, his power, everything we knew Penei Sewell had, all the physical tools that we know Penei possessed when we picked him with the 7th overall selection. However, the things we weren't able to see were his run blocking ability, his pass blocking ability, how well he's transitioned from left tackle to right tackle and stuff like that. But of course, with the pads coming out and with the new opportunity, Penei Sewell almost instantly became one of the most fun Detroit Lions to watch and one of the most interesting players on the roster in training camp. Now, Penei Sewell, as soon as the pads came on, became one of the most dominant players on the Detroit Lions, and almost immediately from the first snap with his pads on, became one of the nastiest players in the locker room, became one of the meanest players in the locker room, and became one of the best blockers on the Detroit Lions roster. Now, Penei Sewell, his first assignments and his first plays and snaps back in pads for the first time really since he was a sophomore at Oregon. It was a 3-on-3 blocking drill. It was a 3-on-3, 3 offensive linemen, 3 defensive linemen, obviously the quarterback handing it off to the running back. And in the very first snap of the football with pads, Penei Sewell was a leading blocker. He absolutely pancaked Julian Okwara on the first rep. Now, Julian Okwara is not the biggest guy, but he's a very solid, very built player in his own right. And to say that just Penei Sewell just ran this man over would be an understatement. I mean, he pancaked him. It was just a really dominant victory in the first rep of training camp for Penei Sewell, the first real rep of training camp for Penei Sewell. I mean, the dude, the whole time was a dominant guy, but just from the get-go, you could see that he wanted to put pads back on. He was ready to be physical. He was ready to blow somebody over. He was ready to just hit somebody and run through people and be a mean, aggressive blocker. And he was ready to play football again. You could just see it in his face. You could see it in his actions. You could see it in his demeanor. He was ready to play football again, and now he has the opportunity and did not waste a single snap. However, nobody showed up to training camp to watch nobody showed up to training camp to watch Penei Sewell versus Julian Okwara. They showed up for the other Okwara brother. Yes, it was mentioned before, it was mentioned prior that Penei Sewell will be going up against against Romeo Okwara a lot in training camp, especially once those pads came out, and they will not be taken easy on the first-round rookie, and they absolutely did not. From the earliest one-on-one drills to 7-on-7s to 11v11s, and any drill that involved a pass rushing snap, Penei Sewell was matched up against Romeo Okwara, and Romeo was not taking it easy on the rookie. Romeo Okwara, on the very first snap of one-on-ones, and his very first snap versus Penei Sewell, absolutely dominated. Romeo Okwara won around the edge with a very nice speed rush, and just overall looked much faster, much more experienced, and looked a little bit more ready than Penei Sewell did, which was not great to see. However, come the second rep, the very next rep after Penei Sewell got beat so badly, he made a phenomenal adjustment, stood up Romeo Okwara, and really stonewalled him, not allowing him to do a single thing, and did not allow him to get past. Penei Sewell got beat early. He got beat in his first rep versus a, top 10 caliber pass rusher, at least top 10 caliber pass rusher from a production standpoint a season ago, and a really good number one pass rusher. He was a guy that, yeah, he got beat early, but that's what you expect out of a rookie going against a veteran pass rusher coming off a 10-sack season. You expect them to get beat early, but when you look at Penei Sewell, the way he adjusted, how quickly he adjusted, and the ways that he has made adjustments so far show me that he is adaptable, show me that he is a smart player, shows me that he is very capable of making adjustments on the fly from a snap-to-snap, play-to-play basis. And if you beat him with something once, you are likely not going to beat him with something again. You're not going to beat him with that same move a second time, because he's just simply that good of a player. And this was kind of the storyline all day. This was kind of the story back and forth all day. It was a shift in power between Penei Sewell and Romeo Okwara. Romeo Okwara, a lot early in reps, or a lot earlier in training sessions, would get Penei Sewell's number, and then Penei, within a snap or two, would kind of figure it out and would make the adjustment, make the proper adjustment, and stop Romeo the next play. Romeo would try something different, throw something different. Penei Sewell would maybe get beat once and then adjust again, and it was a very back and forth battle between the two, between the pass rusher Romeo Okwara, who was top 10 in sacks a season ago, and a rookie in Penei Sewell that was just trying to earn his own and find a spot for himself on this team. Now, we all know that Penei Sewell is going to be a great player. We all know that Penei Sewell is going to be a guy that is going to start for the Lions and likely be here for a very long time. And I like that the Lions are giving him a challenge. I like that they're not taking it slow with him. I like that they're not just walking him through some things. They are throwing their best guy at him immediately and letting him adjust. And although he is getting beat a lot early, and although Romeo Okwara is having a really good start to training camp in his own right, he is not dominating Penei Sewell. He is not dog walking him all throughout training camp. They are having a very back and forth battle where a lot of the time Penei Sewell has the upper hand in these reps. It's probably about a 50-50 split, maybe closer to a 60-40 in favor of Romeo as far as who's winning what reps, but Penei Sewell is putting up a fight. Penei Sewell is learning, he is adjusting, and the transition from left to right tackle and the transition from Pac-12 tackles to Pac-12 defensive linemen, Pac-12 edge rushers to NFL edge rushers seems to be a very seamless transition. Penei Sewell has shown a lot and looks really, really good early in training camp. He is showing the power and the athleticism and the physical side of the game that we all knew he was going to dominate at, but he's also showing the ability to adjust. He's also showing his understanding of his role and his new position in the offense. He has picked up blitzes, he has picked up stunts, he has picked up a lot of different things that a lot of other Lions offensive linemen just don't get, and a lot of offensive linemen don't get in general, right? A lot of rookies are going to struggle with those blitz pickups. A lot of rookies are going to struggle with stunts and looping defensive linemen, and Penei Sewell's just not one of those guys. He doesn't fall for that kind of stuff. He learns incredibly quickly. He adapts incredibly quickly. He has a very good understanding of his position. And again, pair that with his physical tools, his ability to adjust, and just all the very, very good tools that he has at his disposal. Penei Sewell is already a much better player now than he was when he was drafted, and he's only going to improve in the next month between now and the beginning of the NFL season. So, Penei Sewell, yes, had a little bit of a slow start to training camp. Yes, before the pads came on, it was very tough to evaluate Penei Sewell and evaluate where he was as a prospect in his transition from left to right tackle, and of course from college to the NFL. But as soon as those pads came on, you saw the player that Penei Sewell was. You saw the dominant player. You saw the mean, aggressive, athletically gifted, athletic freak, and the freak phenom in the run blocker in Penei Sewell. You saw the technique, you saw the poise, and you saw just the calm demeanor of Penei Sewell going in pass protection versus a top edge rusher in the NFL. all around, he looks so much better than even, I think, the most optimistic fans expected. And Penei Sewell, as an offensive lineman, is one of the most enjoyable players to watch at training camp as of right now, and he is the real deal. He is a player that is Hall of Fame potential. He is a guy that is an all-pro caliber guy in his first year. He is a guy that could be the Mekhi Becton of this draft, the Jedrick Wills of this draft, the Trent Williams of this draft, a guy that is drafted early, a guy that has high expectations and goes even higher. That is the kind of talent we have in Penei Sewell, and as soon as those pads came on, you saw it. He mentioned that, he was waiting for it. He was, obviously going through the motions and kind of, going through the athletic stuff and, doing all that, doing the individual stuff, but he was just ready to get the pads back on. He hasn't worn shoulder pads in over 17 months before this week, and as soon as those came back on, he was ready to play football. He was ready to go out there in an NFL game, in his first NFL start. He was ready for the San Francisco 49ers yesterday, and he's only going to be more prepared as the offseason continues. So with all that being said, that is how our first round pick is doing. That is how Penei Sewell was doing early in camp. I know that's been a question. I know obviously for me and a lot of other people, they want to know how our rookies are doing, and just by the nature of our class, a lot of our guys were not going to look phenomenal until the pads came out, but as soon as they did, everybody looked much better, and Penei Sewell especially really truly started to dominate. So with all that being said, that is life for you guys today. That is how Penei Sewell is starting his NFL career. Let me know how you guys think Penei Sewell is going to be. Let me know how good you thought he was going to be in training camp, and let me know your expectations for him this season. But with all that being said, that is life for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions!